Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. Look, I got a new shirt.
What? It looks the same.
This is also an Afterthoughts because on a previous episode, we were talking about.
Theme?
I'm cracking myself up. We were talking about when the subconscious is the core of your creativity, and then when
Yes.
you apply your brain to apply the theme to it. Hey, look, everybody, here's the brain, Emily Brooks.
Well, David Lynch used sticks to to connect
The
his
checking
brain
stick.
to his heart. But do we need to do that? Maybe not.
Because we have intuition.
Because we have intuition. And I don't know.
We think this topic is hilarious to us, and so we're gonna. In that episode, I mentioned on Insta that there was this brain neurologist woman who said that she could explain why our brain does that, how our brain categorizes stories. Have you watched this one, Emily?
Nope. This is going to be new to me.
Okay, well, put on your seatbelt, buckle your, batten down your hatches.
All right. I'm excited.
Why does the human brain think in stories? You're asking the right girl, because I'm Rachel, the neuroscientist. The first premise here is that outside of human cognition, and perhaps also some other animals too, stories don't exist. There's no such thing as a story. The universe exists through a process of randomness, chaos, and entropy. The entire concept of a story comes from us and the way that we think. But why do we think that way? Why is it that human beings are little meaning-making machines or sense-making machines? The simple answer is that it's energy efficiency. If you didn't have that aspect of human cognition, when you go out into the world, you'd have to individually process every single new item or new event by itself. Now, we save a lot of energy by thinking in stories, because actually what we're doing is taking little pieces of information and filling in the gaps with our existing understanding, our existing story. If I see someone in the street with a leash and a dog, if I didn't think in stories, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'd have to process all of that. Since I think in stories, I know that that is a person walking their dog. Dogs need daily exercise. They can't stay in the house, blah, 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 blah. And in fact, so much of human cognition is based on predictions. We gather a little bit of data from what's happening right now, and we fill in the gaps with data we've already collected and processed long ago. If you're interested in learning more about that prediction model of human cognition, there's another creator who I'll add here who's been making a few videos about that recently. They're very interesting. Go and watch.
Interesting.
Yes. What would you like to say about that?
Well, I shook my head with the universe being made up of chaos.
Correct.
And entropy, because I'm coming from a religious, Christian perspective. But I think it is true that our brains have to make those connections. It's kind of like in a bad way, it can be why we stereotype, because we're trying to understand something based off of a limited experience. But at the same time, it's how we function in the world, where we process things through those experiences.
So I agree with that, and I'll tell you one thing. I was also shaking my head, as I am also a Christian, but it's not even So I have a giant. This is my week to disagree with the smart people, because she's obviously very smart. So the people that argue, so recently, earlier this week, I argued against someone who was saying that there was a 50-50 chance that we were in a simulation. Someone with a big brain, someone that you've seen do TED Talks before. And then that takes away your free will, and that takes away your purpose. And you can't tell me that I don't have a purpose. If you agree to any of that, whether you're a Christian or not, it says you have no free will and you're not here for any purpose. Like both she and he take away your purpose. And no, you don't get to do that, and you don't get to explain away that my life is meaningless. My life has a purpose. Second of all, I do have free will, and I can prove that whether you're a Christian or not. I can prove that you have free will. Whatever you do first thing in the morning, don't do it. Like, whatever your first thing is, you can make the conscious decision to do the opposite. You can go get up in the morning, and the first thing, go out in your front yard and eat a turkey leg. Right? That was not, you can, like, oh, I need to brush my teeth, or oh, I have to comb my hair, or I have to take a shower. You can make the conscious decision to not do any of those things and go eat a turkey leg. And the
that's what
fact that
stories
you
are
can,
made of, right? Like stories are made of characters doing crazy stuff, not crazy stuff, but doing things out of the ordinary from their daily life, because it usually is, here's this person, here's what they've always done. Story starts when they do something different.
correct, a good story is full of conflict, and conflict comes from surprise. It's not when they do what you expect them to do. But so yes, correct. So that is 100% wrong, because you have the free will to do the opposite of what you want to do. And that this
Well,
neurosurgeon explains that away. Now, where she's right is our brain does predict things and fills in blanks from our cultural inventory
yes.
and from things we've seen before in the past. And but the fact, you don't get to tell me that you don't have that I don't have a purpose. You just don't get to tell me that,
Well, I
Rachel, the
think it's kind of like
neurologist.
when, and this is not, I'm not trying to convince anybody that like there's a God or anything, but it's kind of like when you hear people try to explain away love, like, or nurture, that, we're attracted to certain people, or we love people because of self-preservation. Everything is about self-preservation. Everything is about continuing the species. Everything is about survival. When in reality, even stories tell us that that's not true.
I agree 100%.
I didn't expect this conversation to be about free will, but there we are.
I do think that, and again, it's not because the universe is throwing us chaos willy-nilly. I think our brain is conditioned to think in stories. Is that more efficient? I don't know how the brain works. I'll defer to her for that. But it's why we don't. So when you watch a movie or you read a book and you're unsatisfied with the ending, it's because you were expecting one specific kind of ending and you got a different ending, or you didn't get an ending. And our brain thinks, this is going to get a big picture again. our our brain expects, in our DNA, we are designed to expect a beginning, middle, and end, because our life has a beginning and middle and end, right? And so the media we consume should also have a beginning and middle of an end. And when something doesn't end the way we expected it throws us. However, not all of those things are stories. If you use her definition, that the universe throws chaos at us and that our brain oversimplifies things. I think I've said this before on the podcast. If I walk out to the mailbox, I get the mail, and I come back in, that's not a story. But it has a beginning and a middle and an end.
Right. But it's not sticking to you. It's not interesting.
There's no story there. A story is protagonist, goal, obstacle. There's not there's no story to me walking out. If I eat a meal, there's a beginning, middle, and end. I sit down to the meal. I'm halfway through the meal. I finish the meal. I have to go wash dishes. That's not a story. That's a meal.
Yeah, and I think, like I was saying about stereotyping, though, the way that she was describing us making stories to make sense of things actually is a lazy thought process that we're often wrong about. That's why we misunderstand people, is because we're creating stories about them that aren't true. It's just based off of the facts that we have, which is very little. And so we actually have to fight against that impulse, I feel like, to have empathy and to learn more from people and ask questions and get the full picture.
Yep. I agree 100%.
So with the idea of we're seeking that beginning, middle, end, I think we also have a desire for a story to be satisfying, that we even tell stories that aren't realistic, because we know that in life, like, there is no like happily ever after. There's going to still be pitfalls, there's going to be issues, there's going to, life doesn't just happy. But we like to tell stories that have that kind of satisfying ending, because that's the desire of our hearts, which is not part of the chaos. It's actually a desire for redemption and for beauty and for wholeness.
You said that very well.
Oh, thanks. Any other thoughts?
Nope. I'm not going to try to say anything after that. You said that very well.
Well, we
couldn't have done
it without
you.